Past lives matter. Welcome, everybody. Kathy and I are joined by the wonderful and amazing crowned medium, Lorenda Carr. Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome in. Thank you to Mangold for being the mod, and thank you for posting all the links. How are you, Lorenda and Kathy? What is happening?
Well, I'm fantastic. I just got done traveling, so I'm refreshed. I got a tan. I have a crown on, so life is good over here. Are you kidding me? How are
I
you?
love it.
I'm great, and I just wanted to compliment Lorenda on her crown. But I was kind of wondering maybe if you were going to wear the French fry crown.
I mean, I can. It's back there.
Which crown is it? I can't see.
Oh, here, hold on.
Oh my God, I love it. No, did somebody make that?
The one you're wearing.
Oh,
the
this
one
one?
you're wearing. Yeah.
Okay, this one
Purple
is
crystals?
this has they're called grandma. I forget the fancy name, but it's grandmother crystals or the purple and then citrine.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Very magical. Got a little labradorite in there. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I love it. I love
one of my favorites. If this was actually made, this was not one of my customs. I bought this already made from the same guy who does all my customs. But yes, this was custom made.
I love it.
The French fries.
I love it. I love it. I could go for some French fries. I've been having salad for dinner because it's so hot that I can't bear to eat anything else. So I could use French fry. Hello, everyone. Tonight we're going to talk about past lives, and we're going to talk about red flags. As always, we've seen some stuff on social media. We will be talking about that. Lots of people in the room. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much, Mangold, for putting all the links in, and all the links are on my socials. So if you need to find Kathy or Lorenda, they're linked below. And say hello when you pop in. How hot is it where you are? It was 107 heat index here yesterday. So we went to the pool, and the pool was so warm we couldn't even stay. So
it's like taking a bath, right?
It was warmer than any bath I've ever taken. We haven't had a lot of rain where I live, weirdly, which is unusual. So hello, Goldmund XY. Thank you. Let's see.
I saw Miss Molly was in here.
I'm going through Kelsey, Mandy, Carol, a girl who loves penguins, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty's here, Manx girl, Miss Molly. Hi, sweetheart. Miss Molly knows will be live with me on Wednesday night. Finder of lost items. Please follow her as well. Brian, Rosie.
Brian.
That's my granddaughter's name, Rosie. Tinkerbell. Kelsey, a girl who loves penguins. Okay. Just wanted to make sure I said hi to everybody. Texas was 10,000 degrees.
Correct.
So that's right.
I'm in Las Vegas and it's like 110, but it's a dry heat.
Dry heat.
It's fine if it's a dry heat.
I just got back from like Beverly Hills area, and it was in the 80s out there. Everybody's like, oh, it's so hot. I'm like, girl, there's no humidity. What are you talking about? My hair looks good all day long.
Yep. No frizzies in the dry heat. No frizzies. Hello, Holly. Hello, Sandy. Hello, Maria. Diana. Molly said it's hotter than a snake's butt in a wagon nut.
I've never heard that.
I never heard it either. So look, Miss Lorenda.
Yes.
Darling. What does it mean for someone to have a past life? What does that mean?
Oh, so many things. Thank you for asking. So I've got, typically when we think of past lives, we think of existences we've had before. We've incarnated as a human. Most people believe, human only. I've even had practitioners tell me, you can't be anything but a human. I'm like, girl, I can tell you right now, I've spent life as a rock. Like,
okay, I'm glad to hear you say that.
And I'll tell you why. I'll deep dive into that. Why I believe that is it's just different. existences in what we would know in this lifetime as past, in a timeline prior to 2026. Now, how I see it, because of the work that I do, it's not really past. It just is. And it's all happening all at once. Just in different timelines, different experiences, different. It's like Doctor Who. I'm pretty sure Doctor Who may not have been too far off, if I'm being real.
And there's one of those movies with Benedict Cumberbatch when he's in the multiverse, which is really good. I
always think of before I started doing really past life stuff. When my son was little, he's now in his 20s. He was really into The Flash, and they'd be like Earth 1, Earth 2. That to me is like those different dimensions. So I don't even like to think of it as past life anymore. I like to think of it as just different dimensions and different existences, different places that we're different experiences.
You know, I love that. And I like to explain it like this. It's called the block universe theory, if anybody's sciencey, but I'll explain it in normal everyday terms for everybody to understand. When you work at a place that has a mainframe computer in a closet somewhere and everybody's laptop is wired into that mainframe is our oversoul, and every laptop in the building is a different life you've lived. It's all connected and all the information is stored in that mainframe and all the laptops. I'm thinking of, because I've worked in school so much, and that's how we did it. So that's why it came. What do you think, Kathy? What's your
I believe we're living multiple lives simultaneously. Even in our dream state, we're living and experiencing different dimensions. And so our consciousness, it can't be contained, right? So it's living. That's what I believe. I mean, it's a flow and it's living, and we're experiencing multiple, I guess if you want to say, time frames or timelines.
Right. I agree completely with that. Completely. And I agree we could live as a dog, as a rock, as a tree, as an alien. I'm big on aliens lately. Like, I've always been big on aliens, but I've been making a lot more alien content. My brother-in-law said to me, he's passed away. He said to me, he was a Methodist minister. He said to me once, and this surprised me, how many planets did Jesus have to live on? And I thought, ding, ding, ding. That's interesting, because Jesus would have lived. And I made videos the other day. Jesus was reincarnated. Like, obviously, that's his whole thing.
Right. Well, and Edgar Casey talks about, he talks about that, is that Jesus had lived 30 lives prior to becoming Jesus. Like that.
I did not know that.
The number that was thrown out. Edgar Casey's got some good stuff out there. But that's one of the things that he talked about, was that Jesus was reincarnated, and then he believed in that, and that's what he was trying to explain to everybody. Like, this is what's happening,
Wow.
But it's not. It was just. It's one of those things where I'm pretty sure Jesus probably said it and was like, "Ooh, too soon."
2,000 years is not enough time.
Yeah. Right. And so actually, Miss Molly, she's got a couple good questions.
Yeah, the comments are going so fast. Thank you, everybody. Can you see them? Can you rewind them?
Yep. Hold on. Is manifesting selecting our choices from our multiple existence? But the other thing she said that it got me was said, even our videos are an iteration of us. Think about it.
Wow. My mind is blown on both of those.
Oh.
Well, and the concept of deja vu. Right.
I used to tell people way before I was a medium, because I would have deja vu occasionally, like everybody, and I would say it's bleed over from another life or another universe or another something. Like, it's like, I don't know, it's just like our other lives are all just here in the same overlapping place.
So I think of it as different. If how I explain it is different radio stations. And
Hmm.
sometimes our radio stations, especially on the old days when we had the little dial, would fade together.
Mm-hmm.
And you could hear, you'd be in between two stations, but you could kind of hear both of them.
Yep.
And that's where I'm convinced that we see ghosts, we connect to spirit, we communicate with our loved ones on the other side, spirit guide, whatever. That it's that in between. It's that weird place in between where the frequencies are crossing. I'm telling you, it's all science. I'm
It is.
in science, but by God, I know this stuff.
It's true, because that is exactly how we connect with spirit, because we raise our vibration and our frequency and to match theirs, because when you're in spirit, you're at a different frequency because you're lighter and we're heavier, so yeah, we're matching, we're raising ours. They have to lower theirs, and hopefully there's a good connection. So yeah, I love it all.
So I have a question for you guys. This 100%, right? I believe it all. But what about, and I love this, and I'm fascinated by this, children that come into the world, they're, between 2 and 6 years old, and they talk to their parents about their other life or their past life. Isn't that fascinating, where they can tell us who they were, where they lived, what they did for a living, how they passed away, who their parents were. And it's been documented and proven that all of those things happen. So again, when we talk about past lives, there's documentation of it. How else would you explain that?
Yeah, there was a story that I just saw on, I forget what platform, but one of the social medias, where a guy was talking about a little boy that just kept talking about his family, and he had been killed, he'd been murdered, right, in this past life, and he knew his parents' names, how to get like their address. They ended up finding this family and verifying everything that happened, and ended up catching the guy who killed him.
Wow.
That he knew him by name, knew where he lived, and the guy was like, this is too freaky, and ended up confessing. It wasn't that they just kind of went after him, ended up confessing after. It was like, I can't even fight this. And so, I mean, it's more and more. And then there's a book by, what's it called? It was a great book. I read it a few years ago, where the little boy who came in was convinced he was a baseball player, Lou Gehrig. And that was such a good book. There's so many stories out there. And what Spirit had shown me early on in my just learning how to figure this out days, was that kids are granted that access because, one, they're coming in flying blind. They're missing home.
Mm-hmm.
That veil is a lot thinner, so they feel less alone. And they've got somebody in physical as well as on the other side, and spirit helping. And that it's just part of that transition. And that by about 5 or 6 years old, it's no longer, because they need to for whatever reason they came into for their purpose. They've got to experience life, so they don't get that anymore.
It's fascinating, because and I'm sure you both have experienced this, when we do readings, if there's a young child still living in the family and say the father has passed away, they'll say, I come play with the baby and make the toys jingle or the lights flash, and the baby's talking to somebody who's not there. Like, that happens a lot. And young children I've said it a million times on my lives. My youngest son, he's, married and a father now, but when he was little, he would talk to people and he would say his job was in heaven. At night, every night when he went to sleep, he went to heaven to help take people over to greet their loved ones. And I was not a medium. I knew very little about mediumship. I just encouraged him to keep talking about it and not shame him. He's a very creative person. So it's fascinating the things when you listen and don't shame your kids when they're little, all of the things they know and all the things they say, how bright and checked in they are. And Molly said they have no context or rules either.
Exactly. And when they're young, if you think about it, if we go back to the science and vibration thing, they come in with a high vibration.
Because there's no stress, hopefully,
There's no stress.
maybe. Yeah.
Other than like somebody changed my diaper. I don't know.
Right.
Like,
right. Exactly.
There's no human ego, right?
There's no right.
Right.
There's no pre-programming. There's no guilt laid in yet. There's no experiences for them to draw on.
Exactly.
So their vibrations up here.
That's true. We have so many comments. I'm going to get to as many as I can. Someone said they had an out-of-body experience. And I can't find the comment now. And they said it was
it says, while sleeping once and I hovered over my sleeping body, it was a trip. I see that.
Yeah, that is. So has anybody else been having weird dreams lately? Like really crazy or normal?
Me, like I don't ever remember my dreams, and every single day this week I've had crazy, since I've been in California, like I started having crazy dreams. Like I did a video on one of them. It was so nuts. And like, well, two of them.
It's so weird that the dreams, like, I don't know if something's happening with the sun or the galaxy or something's happening. People are saying yes in the comments. Brian said yes. Molly said yes. A girl who loves penguins, hello dear, said my youngest son talked and played with my dad until he was 5. My dad died when my son was 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Goldmund said dreaming. Yep. Mangled said, yes, I'm seeing things that I think happen, but something slightly different happens. It's super weird. You just have to get your stress level under control. And I know that's hard right now. When your stress level is super high, your connection is not going to be as clear. And so you got to meditate. What would you ladies say for somebody who's stressed and their connection's off a little?
Oh yeah, you definitely have to de-stress. And you have to just sit with yourself and sit in the quiet and just make a practice of it every single day, even if it's 5 minutes a day.
Yeah.
I'm awful at meditating. So really, I tell people if it doesn't occur to you to meditate, or if that's something you don't feel comfortable doing, I tell people to do something that brings them joy.
Yes.
Actively do something that will rate, even if it's watching husky video. You know those the mouthy huskies on the videos, they're the best. Or laughing babies, or do something that raises your vibration. If you can go out and touch grass, do that. Get your feet in the ground. Just do something that brings you joy, because in those moments of joy, the clarity comes. And then you start getting back to where, okay, now I can get up there, I can get back up there and reconnect with spirit, because that's where it is. It's just up. You have to adjust your frequency.
Yes. And I agree. Nature, joy, it's too hot for a lot of people to go out right now, but if you can go out in the morning and just say hello to the sunrise or the clouds, music. Yes. That's another good one.
Music, yes. Dance party in the kitchen.
And even if you can't like sit and meditate, I'm not the best meditator, but I can take 3 deep breaths.
Yes.
That's the quickest meditation to reset your system. If you're washing the dishes, just say, I'm washing the dishes. I'm washing the dishes. Meditation is just to take your mind off the stream of thoughts. You don't have to sit for an hour in a perfect Zen pose in the lotus position to be a good meditator. You can meditate in line at the grocery store. 1, 2, 3, deep breaths. Be present. Look at the gum. Look at the National Enquirer. Look at the lady's weird wig in front of you. Whatever you need to do to take your mind off of the stream of thoughts.
Right. So, and I think that's really important for us to say, because I had done a video about spirit guides, meaning of spirit guides. And I was like, and it's, if you have a hard time meditating, do this. Basically what I said was a meditation. And people were trying to come for me in the comments like, oh, meanwhile, you're meditating. I'm like, no kidding. But how many people won't do it? They won't even try because they're intimidated by the word meditation.
Yeah.
So let's give them other things to do. Count your heartbeats.
Yep.
Count how many heartbeats it takes to breathe in and breathe out.
Yeah.
I will often, if I'm feeling like overwhelmed or like just, okay, spirit, I can't deal with this, I'll call in one of my spirit guides to overshadow me, my joy guide specifically, because she helps me manage my emotions. But she'll come in and like just settle everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do so many different things and not that meditation, but they don't have to be called meditation.
Right. Exactly. There's a lot of comments. Somebody said something about CERN being shut down.
Yes.
No.
What do you know about that?
Yeah. Well, I don't.
Right now.
I had my Mars contest all week, so I haven't really been paying attention to anything in the news. So I've been a little crazy busy. So I know CERN is a particle collider in Europe under, I think, Sweden and Switzerland. It's like 18 miles long, and they shoot particles at each other and break them apart to see what's inside. Now, does that really have anything to do with our weird dreams? I doubt it, because my science mind kicks in when I talk about things like that. Now, that's a contained closed loop system from what I know of it. Now, the sun can wreak all kinds of havoc, because the sun is how we get all the energy on Earth that makes all the food on Earth. Everything goes back to the sun. So, of course, that can mess us up. I would say if it's anything, it's coming from the sun and the alignment of the planets more than CERN. That's my opinion. I'm not a CERN expert, but that's what my opinion would be. And while I've got everybody here, before I forget, because I always forget, I have a 50% off coupon that expires tomorrow, and I only have a couple of spots left in August. So the code is all caps summer50, summer50. It ends tomorrow, and I don't even know how many are left now, a couple probably in August. So if you want a reading for a very reasonable discounted price, book at peacefulnickthemedium.com. So there you go. It's all my readings, the mediumship and guidance and card readings. So that's that. Kathy, we were going to talk about some red flags. So while we're on a tangent, we were watching a live stream of a medium the other day. And what should people notice when they're watching a live stream of a mediumship reading that may be a gigantic red flag?
Well, I'll just say one thing. If you want a reading and you don't have time to research, and just be prepared for anything, okay? Because what we saw the other day was a medium pretty much blaming the sitter for talking too much or taking him out of his power and getting things wrong because she was saying too much. And then he would tell her, no, just, well, I gave it away, said he. But he would say, just stick to yes, no, maybe. Well, then if she gave a little bit of confirmation, he'd be like, well, now you just took me out of the power, so I have to get back, and now I'm lost. And I'm like, this is just not how it works. It's not how it works. And you, as a medium, I would never blame my sitter for me not being able to connect, because I'm the medium.
Correct.
And if you can't hold a link,
yes,
you shouldn't be charging for reading.
And you shouldn't be calling yourself a professional medium. I'm just throwing that out there.
And he's been at this for a very long time. And I don't know if he ever got development, because this person we're talking about contacted me like a month after I started my social media journey in 2021, beginning of 2021. And we talked on the phone, and I said, look, I can help you. I'm not an expert, but you really need development. And then I don't know if he got it, but he's been charging for readings online, and he probably makes a good bit of money doing it. And I doubt he gives refunds. So,
And go into readings with some expectation of feeling like you're connected with your loved one. Now, I mean, you can't expect, certain details, whatever, but have some expectation that you are going to feel a connection. There was like no connection, and it was just repeated information over and over and over again. So like once he hit on something, and that's all he kept hitting on and kept focusing on. And it breaks my heart, because people are spending their money wanting to connect with their loved ones and to feel that connection when they're clearly, when we were watching, there was no connection. And if that's the case, then stop the session and just say, listen, I'm not connecting. Let me refund you. Let me reschedule you. But I just say, I caution people. I know we're in a world that we want things when we want them, and everything is at our fingertips, and it's so convenient. But I just caution people to try to do their research, because if you have a bad reading, it can do more damage than good, right? It could hurt you more than help you. And our number one motto as mediums is never do harm.
exactly.
You should always leave the sitter better than when you found them. There's
Always.
some sort of healing or inspiration in that.
Right. And the reading went on and on and on and on. And it was almost like he was trying to, I don't know how long the readings usually are, but it was almost like he was trying to continue it to get better evidence. And it's like, look, you either have the connection or you don't, and your sitter shouldn't be able to knock you out of your connection because they answered your question like that. And I want to say the readings, the last time I checked his website, were like $65 for a TikTok reading. Last time I checked. It could be different now, but that was probably a year ago. And that's like, you could get a discounted reading or a mini reading from any of us one-on-one privately for cheaper than that. Like a mini reading. I don't know. Do you have mini readings, Lorenda? Oh, I have mini readings.
Yeah, I do recorded readings. I'll do them as exclusive
Oh, okay.
kind of specials, but I don't offer mini readings.
Oh, me and Kathy have mini readings that are discounted. And it's like, do your due diligence, vet the medium, watch if they're doing live readings, watch them several times, not just once. Watch them several times before you give them money. But I suggest book a one-on-one reading with a legitimate medium. Doesn't have to be us. If we're not your vibe, that's fine. But one-on-one is always better.
Agreed.
We need to get red flags.
I just want to say thank you, Jennifer. She said I had 2 bad experiences before I found Kathy. There's no comparison.
I agree.
And this is sacred work for me, right? For us, this is sacred work, and I would never want to disappoint my client or spirit, right? Because I am in service to both.
And I want to piggyback on that. When you are not doing a good job as a medium and you're scamming people or you're taking advantage of people, Karma is a bitch. And spirit is and the universe, the collective consciousness, just be prepared. If you're doing that, it's going to come around. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be next year, but it's going to come around.
Yep. A lot of times you will see people like that are, like you were saying, that this person have reached out to you. Maybe they have a more natural ability, but undeveloped. To me, those are worse, because, and I've had people come to me and be like, I've been seeing ghosts since I'm a little kid. I'm getting messages. They're more natural than what I would say I am. I had to work for that development and understanding. But the ones that I find that are the most toxic readers are the ones who are trying to do doom and gloom predictions based on what they're seeing, instead of using their development and their discernment and working with spirit in learning the language of how to speak to them. And it's like saying, okay, charades, you're playing charades and somebody says, okay, we're like, oh, somebody got their hand chopped off.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, no, we're time. Time. That's all we want. Time to go, not chop and ran. Like, that could be interpreted so many different ways. And I've had friends like that, former friends that are like that. And
it depends. I'm sorry, but it depends on if you haven't healed your trauma, which everybody has, then you're going to see it as a hand being chopped off.
Yes. And that's what I was getting ready to say. Like, these are the people that don't, if they're not going through development, then they are also not unearthing all that stuff that needs to be healed. They're not recognizing all the things that maybe they already had healed. And I have seen people in real time on social media crash out, and then they disappear because they didn't develop, they didn't have good mentors, even though they were gifted. But even the best mediums out there had mentors. The one like Tyler Henry, how popular is he, right? Mentors. He's not just free will, out there in the free world doing whatever because he was born that way. John Edward talks about it. Gordon Smith talks about it. Like, they all have learned and had mentors. And when you get someone who's like, well, and I've had people come to me and be like, okay, I worked with Lorenda. She was my mentor. They had 3 classes with me, and they're trying to say and then they're hot mess crashing out in real time.
I had a student who got really mad at me for something that I was like, what? I made a video about the telepathy tapes. And this former student was livid because she said they're taking advantage of the autistic kids. And I'm like, what? I'm just talking about how cool this podcast is, right? And sent me a tirade of several text messages about it. And I'm like, that's not, no. And then went on social media after she did complete beginners and intermediate mediumship with me. So she was with me for over a year as a student. She did need a lot more development. And I never approved her to do professional readings personally, but then she went on and did them. And she probably blocked me on everything. So you have to be very careful. If you are very concerned about getting a reading or any kind of service, a past life regression, QHHT, Reiki, anything, find out where your healer was mentored. Where did they go get classes? Who helped them? How did they develop? And I will tell you my story. I knew zero about mediumship. I've learned as much from Kathy, working with her all of these years and going through development courses. I've learned as much from her as I learned from the mentor I had. And the mentor I had was really good. But I also needed to continue learning because I didn't have the same background and mentors Kathy had. Like, I didn't know what external clairvoyance meant. I'm saying that because I saw an old TikTok video pop up today, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy that I didn't know what that was. Right. And now it's like, in my everyday language. So like I knew nothing. And I'm so glad to have met Lorenda and Molly and Kathy and all the other mediums who are actually ethical and who care. We do this because we care about people. We want people we've all experienced grief. We've all experienced some kind of trauma in our life. We've all been hurt. We are all just regular, normal people who wanted to help others and came into this, whatever way it happened for us. So that's my rant.
That's a wonderful rant.
That's a good rant.
So
anyway, I think it's important that we keep talking about these things, though. And I know I talk about them a lot on my show. I know a number, but Carrie and I talk about stuff. Carrie Koss and I. Nick,
I love her. We got to get her back on.
Oh yeah. You guys, I just feel like it's important to keep talking because not everybody's going to see the one video we're talking in, and I think it's just important to keep educating the public on what they are allowed to expect from a medium. Someone who claims to be a medium, it's okay to have certain expectations, period.
And even the most famous, most perfect, most wonderful, most well-educated mediums sometimes have a bad reading. And if they can't admit that, then they're full of crap.
I've had bad readings. I've had something that wasn't connecting, but when I know that, I will stop the session and say, hey, I don't think this is working. Let's reschedule. I can refund, It's not 100%. It's never you can never say it's 100%. Right?
Right. I always offer some type of compensation, a redo, something if it goes awry. If it goes awry and it's my fault, right? Like if you have an agitated sitter who comes in and they're just not there present, that's a different story. Then we just reschedule. But if I know I don't have a good connection, I reschedule. Like some days you just don't have the connection.
What I find is spirit never gets it wrong.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. And I think that's important for people to hear. Yes. It's not that spirit's
correct
getting it wrong. It's sometimes our own interpretation. And also I've had, in all the years I've done this, I've offered refunds twice that I felt like I'm never, and I'll say, listen, I'm not 100%, but I'm never this wrong. So we're going to tough this out together. I'm going to write everything down that I get, and we're going to reschedule. We're going to have a whole do-over in a few weeks when I have forgotten completely about this whole situation. And then we're going to revisit and see if anything actually did make sense, or my guides and I are going to have a little convo. I always take it on as this has to be a me problem. Mm-hmm. Both times that I've done that, when I reschedule, they come back, they're like, actually, after I rewatched the video, like literally you nailed everything, but I had to talk to my mom or I had to talk to so-and-so. Mm-hmm. There were things in there that even I didn't know.
Yep.
And at that point, I still was already in on the reading offer. So they got a free reading from me after that, even though they come back and said everything landed, and
third party validation is the best validation.
It is. It really is. And I'll just write keywords down. Like, I don't know what it means. This is what spirit is saying or what they're showing me. And I don't know what it means. So I think a lot of times mediums are even more on it. If you honor what you're seeing, hearing, and getting from spirit, even if it doesn't make sense in the moment, sometimes those doesn't make sense now is meant to be a mic drop later.
And I want to make a comment. Jane, hello, Jane and Julie and everybody who's here. We're just so glad you're here. But Jane made a point I want to talk about. She said, I'll trust y'all before I trust the Caputos, Edwards, Tyler Henrys out there. Now, I don't have any negative opinions about any of the TV mediums. I wouldn't do that. I don't know them personally. I haven't worked with any of them. You also have to realize their shows are edited. So if we do a 30-minute reading for somebody individually, we may get, 7 pieces of amazing evidence and 20 pieces of mediocre evidence and 1 piece of like extraordinary evidence, right? But there may be 5 minutes in the middle where it's just like, eh. But if you're on TV, they cut that out. So if you're watching TV mediums, you're seeing the highlights. Kathy talked about this a few weeks ago when we were on here. You see the highlights of the good stuff, but there's a lot of stuff in the middle that's just like normal everyday stuff, right? Tyler Henry has a live thing he does on Netflix. I recommend everybody go back and watch his very first episode because it was not that great. And it just proves not an insult to him at all. I think he had like 5 or 6 people on the panel. He was trying to give readings to all of them. And it shows that mediumship isn't like we're always dun, 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 everything's perfect. Every piece of evidence is wonderful. No, it's not always like that. It can be stressful, especially if you're on a live TV show on Netflix and you've got 6 strangers on a panel and you're expected to perform.
That are doing this.
Right, exactly. So if anybody's, judging a mediumship reading they got, go watch that first episode and see it's not always perfect. Well, I'm not insulting him in any way.
No, and John Edward actually years ago, of course I'd followed John Edward. He's like my end all be all hero and I've told this story before, but he's the reason I'm doing this work. And from like 15 years ago. Anyway, I loved his show Crossing Over, watched every single episode, VCR'd it. VCR'd it all the time.
All the tapes.
And was really just fascinated by him, as well as even Sylvia Browne at the time, because it was the first time we'd really seen mediumship in this way, right? And so publicly. And so John Edward, several years back, when he started streaming everything online, he was like, get me out of mainstream television. We're going to create our own networks. We're going to create our own things. He's like, just so you know, what you see on TV is not real. It's the best of what I have to offer, but it's edited for timing, for whatever shock value. He put and I'm in development by this point. I'm doing readings professionally. And I'm just like, I'm not 100%. I'm not getting it all. I don't understand. How do they get this flow? How do I get the flow that he has? I watched one of his videos and I was like, oh my God, that's exactly how I read. I'm not saying like I'm John Edward, but his delivery style with the cameras just running without edits, the delivery style is very similar to what all of us already do.
Right.
Yeah. And you don't realize it. You think, oh my gosh, they're so amazing, amazing, amazing. But watching him go through the process of, okay, well, I see a white rose, and that typically means da 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 da. Would you understand like this grandfather is talking about a white rose, or there's something like kind of working through the symbols to get to the message, where on TV, you cut out all that work.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I want to say, Jennifer has a question. I'm actually curious to see what Kathy has to say about this first. As mediums, do you remember if you've read for someone before, or does spirit make you forget?
So sometimes it's familiar, like I feel a familiarity, but it's always different information. It's always different because I have repeat clients. So when I know it's a repeat client, I will just say, Spirit, give me new information. And because you're living your life and they're living their life, things are always evolving and changing. So there's always new information. Do I forget? Yes. I cannot, like I'm in a zone when I'm reading, and I'm in such like this, even like when I get done with readings at the end of the day or something, I go to my husband and I'm like, oh, it was so nice. I had such good readings. Like, I feel like, a lot of healing. And then I'll be like what? And I'm like, I don't remember. I don't remember. But I just remember the feeling. So yes, I forget, but there is a familiarity, I guess, when I connect to the same spirit.
I cannot possibly ever remember everything. And if it's somebody who I'll have clients who will book a reading every 3 or 4 months in a year, right? And so we do I'm sure Lorinda also has this too, where you have clients that will book every few months. That person becomes familiar. Their loved ones in spirit become familiar. I have a client whose granddaughter, and I don't even know if this is a thing for anybody else, but she kind of became a guide to me. It's a long story, but it's a beautiful story. But I'll have a client who booked a reading 5 years ago and then booked a reading now, and I don't recognize them, and I feel embarrassed because I can't possibly remember like what I did yesterday, much less a client I had 5 years ago. And I'm not trying to be insensitive, and I don't want people to think I forgot them, but it's a lot to keep in your brain. But then when you connect to spirit, like Kathy said, you'll feel that familiar sensation. What about you, Lorinda?
This is how I put it. It's not my information. I'm channeling it. I'm bringing it. It's coming in and out. It's not meant for my brain. If spirit wants me to remember, they'll make me remember.
Right.
If now there, and that's interesting you say that about you've got a client's person on the other side that acts as a guide for you now. I actually have familiar spirits that will visit me in my house that I've read that have come through before, and I can feel them come in. I'm like, what are you doing here? And and how's it going? And inevitably I'll hear from their mom again, or they'll be like, just saying hi, but also keep an ear out for us. We're coming through again. So if I've read someone over, multiple times, or if it was one of those impactful readings, like that particular person and her kids on the other side, I remember going upstairs and my husband was like, how were your readings? And I was just numb. It affected me in such a way that I said, I might be a jerk of a parent and my kids might not like me, and they may not even talk to me, but every day they're alive is another chance to fix it, or another day there's hope. Not every parent has that. And so these two kiddos pop in all the time with me. Do I remember the readings themselves? No. But the familiar spirit, yes. But I always feel back to her like, well, you've read for me before. I'm like,
yeah,
great.
Yeah.
Great. But I don't remember. I really don't, because it comes in and goes out unless it triggered something in me or it was a lesson for me as well. Because I tell spirit, I'm super busy. Only bring me people that I can learn from and that I can truly, that are really ready to heal. I'm not going to be spinning my wheels all the time.
I have a follow-up to all of that. And thank you everybody for the comments. I'm going to get to them in a second, but I have to ask this question. So I had a client who unfortunately unalived himself about 18 months ago. And it was a very long story. Sorry. And I noticed after that happened, I would feel his presence. And then I'd have a reading that day, and the person who I was reading for had someone who unalived themselves. And this happened several times. And I'm like, oh, you're here to show me or bring this person through. So have you had, either of you had that happen
I
where
have.
they died in a similar way?
Yes.
And then you feel that presence, and then your reading is like a person that died that way.
Yeah, I've had that. My cousin comes in all the time for specific things that I associate with him, and I'll feel him step up. It's not that I'll just get it clairvoyantly, like a little nudge, like, oh, maybe, da 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 da. He'll step up. I have my husband's uncle does too. I have a number of spirits that will step in. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Okay, I get it.
Okay. I
Yes.
thought I was just like losing it. What, Kathy, does it happen to you?
Yeah, and it's funny that Lorinda said her cousin. My cousin does that too.
The one with the flowers?
Yeah. And you read for her. Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, that's right.
I'll never. My mom
Yeah,
came.
you both have read for her. Yeah. Mhm.
That's awesome. My mom came through before I was doing a reading for a client, and her mom was identical to my mom, even smoking Pall Mall Reds with no filter. And I'm like, I'm starting to understand this stuff now. Like the same everything, the same, colored her hair the same color, smoked the same cigarettes, like literally the brand, the perfume, the personality. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Somebody said, I've watched them all, talking about the famous mediums, been to Caputo twice, way too overpriced. Yeah, that's the thing with these big, giant, thousands of people readings. If you go and you just are paying for the sheer entertainment, realize you're probably not going to get a reading.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, 4 or 6 people might. I don't know how long they talk, because I'm too frugal to pay a price like that for that. I'd rather go to a concert. So yeah, just know if you're paying for it, you're probably not going to get a reading unless you're sitting in the first couple of rows, maybe. So just know that.
Yeah,
Or
I saw Sylvia Brown once, like 100 years ago, because she's been gone a while now, and John Edwards once in person.
did you get readings from either of them?
No, not even postcards. Not even postcards. And I was like, well, that's a bummer, because I could have spent literally that amount of money and gone to just a local medium and gotten probably just as good of a reading.
Ding, 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 ding. This is what all of us, Kathy has said this before. I'm so glad you said that.
Mhm.
Don't waste your money, I'm sorry, on these big giant events unless you don't expect to get a reading. If you want to get a reading, a good reading, find an ethical medium. Could be us, doesn't have to be us, could be us, or someone else. We can recommend other people. We know a lot of really good mediums. Get a one-on-one reading, then you're guaranteed to get a reading. And it's a fraction of the price. Like some of these people are charging $2,000 for a seat in these things. You could get 10 to 15 readings for that price. One-on-one guaranteed.
Right.
I'm
Well,
just preaching.
Can I just reiterate too? Famous doesn't equal better. More followers doesn't equal better. Do your research and really find somebody that you feel connected to, because you are sharing your most intimate loved ones with someone. And I know you two have also been on the receiving end of having to clean up these terrible readings. And when people come to you so devastated by a terrible reading, it breaks my heart. And when they, say the last reading I had, they said my loved one was stuck, and you know all the things. So it's just really important to do your research and know that more followers on social media does not equal better. Okay, famous does not equal better. So
my mentor
Mhm.
has like she has a Facebook, but it's probably just hacked all the time because she never uses it. And she's like 80. Like she doesn't do social media, and she's probably one of the most powerful mediums I've to this day ever met. Like she's just so incredible, and she's not anywhere on social media.
That's awesome. Don't you miss the days of word of mouth when it worked and not having to be on social media? Oh, I was going to say something else. It just went right out of my brain. I don't remember what it was. It's gone.
Can I ask a question? I want to go back to past lives.
I was going to also.
I think we're connected here.
Are you guys psychic or something?
Have you guys ever had an experience where you were in your past life or felt like you were in a past life or you were supposed to be somewhere other than where you were?
Every night when I dream and I go to 20,000 different universes, it's exhausting. I like an Avatar when the guy plugs in and lives the Avatar life before I don't want to spoil it, but my Jake doesn't live, becomes permanent Avatar. But in the first Avatar, he's a human and Avatar. So it's like that. I have my day life and then I plug in and a billion other worlds open up. It's really tiring. Yeah. So that's my experience.
So can I just say, and I think I told you, Nick, when I was like 5, and I was in Girl Scouts, we took a trip to the planetarium. And in that planetarium, I felt like I was home. Like, this is home. I wanted to go back so bad. After we left, I begged my parents, I want to go back there. I want to go back there. I want to go back there. So every time I would go back, like after and I would get older, it like faded away. But I knew then and I know now that I'm part of something bigger. And that experience felt so like home to me. That I know that we have these past lives. That's my experience. What about you, Miranda?
I grew up just knowing as a dancer from like age 3 that I was going to be a dancer, period. And that I was going to be in New York and I was going to be like, I just knew these things. Fast forward, I'm still not famous, still not a great dancer, but I'm a really good teacher. But the first time I ever went to New York, before I was developing as a medium or doing anything, I've always been obsessed with past lives, always. I remember walking into Times Square in New York at, I think I was 30, 32, 33. And I just sobbed because I felt like I was at home. I knew where to go. I knew everywhere to go. It was so easy for me to get around and figure out where it was. It just seemed like I walked around that place like I owned it. Like Midwest girl in 32, like I had no business doing that, but I just knew. First time I ever went to France, again, before I'd ever done like past life work, I'm standing in this little tiny town called Bar, France. And I'm feeling like I'm on the edge on the verge of sobbing. I felt like I was at home. It was so hard to explain. And so then I ended up doing past life regression a few years later. And for the first time, had a life in New York. And I was a powerhouse, by the way, in New York, and did work on Broadway on the back end of things. And then also in France. And our family were they were winemakers. And it also, as I said, my wine room tracks. But I just knew there was something. It wasn't just a thing that I made up because I watched a bunch of TV. It was something in my soul knew exactly that I had been there before. And it was just, it's so hard to put into words. other than like you move from believing in this stuff to just knowing. Now what's really fun I find is when, so I mentioned my friend Carrie, one of her spirit guides is actually herself in a future form.
I love that.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
And so it makes you wonder, like, how many spirit guides do I have that's actually just me existing in another place?
Mhm.
That's a good point.
How
I
many-
feel like if I had a past life, I would say number one, I am absolutely obsessed with Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Like, it's going to make me cry thinking about it. Like, I have to go there before this life is over. Like, obsessed. I watch so many videos about it. I love it. Like, I feel like I had to have lived there at some point in a past life. Like, I just could eat it up, like every bit of it. If anybody has any good Göbekli Tepe info, please let me know because I can't get enough. There's not enough information. And I feel like Central America, there's some connection there. But Göbekli Tepe is like a draw, like a magnet for me.
I had the same way in the same France and Scotland. That's another place that I went. We just drive through Scotland. And I was just crying. And Matt's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know. This part wasn't on Outlander. I don't know." But like just feeling, but it's because I'd had past life experience there where I've been to other places, other countries that I don't get that. I'm like, this is really great. I love the history, but I don't feel like I've been there.
That draw,
that soul connection. And I fully believe, whether it's past or just concurrent existing, other existence, other life in another dimension, that these things are real.
I want to get to a couple questions and comments. Kelsey said, Kathy told me things about my Nana that no one else could easily know. Yeah, doesn't surprise me. Kathy's amazing. She blows my mind every time I see her do a reading. Truly. Maria said, y'all are just so ethical. That makes you awesome. Thank you. Brittany said, love you guys. Question, what do you think of deja vu? We talked a little bit about this earlier. I think it's like bleed over from another life or another universe or another dimension.
I think it can also be if it's something that we've intentionally set as a goal or part of our purpose or something. I think sometimes those moments can happen and we go, oh, check, we're on point.
Mm-hmm.
The GPS is checking right now. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Tracy said something about our last time we were live. Peaceful Nick said they were showing you a license plate. What does that mean? I would have to, I don't remember. I mean, I remember talking about a license plate, but I don't remember.
This goes back to that part where we forget things.
Yeah, I don't remember the context. It was probably some kind of, I was probably telling people to look for somebody's initials or something or number or something on a license plate.
That's happened to me before, by the way. I was actually thinking about somebody, and I had a witness to this too. I had my former artistic director sitting in the car with me, and I look up and I see something on the building that reminded me of my tap company. And then I look in front of me, and there is a car with the license plate of our mutual friend that was in spirit. That was the name on the license plate, was her name. I'm like, oh, I saw what you did there. So that can happen. Those things can align.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of signs we miss if we're not paying attention.
That's very true. Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts on, because I definitely have thoughts, but I want to get your thoughts on this first. We're acting like this is my show now.
It's okay. We're all alphas here.
Exactly. With past life, if you go to someone for a past life reading, let me back up.
Somebody in the chat wants a past life regression, and that's why Lorenda's here. So lorendacarr.com.
Yeah, I've got a couple different things going on that I can tell you guys about in a minute. But how do you feel our other existences, our past lives, future lives, whatever, affect us now? What are your thoughts on how they affect us?
Kathy, I'll let you field that first.
Well, what comes to mind, or what Spirit is telling me, is that it's guidance and for our soul growth. It's guidance and for our soul growth. So we're ultimately, thank you. My guides are like, we are ultimately here to help others and to grow ourselves and to grow our soul. And this is what the whole meaning of this existence and this consciousness is to evolve and to bring peace and to bring clarity and to bring love and to bring light into, right? Thank you. And to shed this negativity and these stereotypes of, geez, they're really going, okay. To shed these human constructs, I guess, and to live and to experience joy. So this is what my guides just gave me.
I agree 100%. 100%. We're here to grow our soul, and anytime we patch into that mainframe, those other lives, it's a lesson.
And it's growing and it's learning and it's evolving and it's trying to help each other get to that same point, into that same vibration of love and joy. And to learn and experience, right? Thank you. To learn and experience the things that aren't so easy, and to show and prove that we can evolve and we can get through it.
I love that. And my son actually was asking me my older son was asking me, I made a joke that was, I won't say it here because I will get banished off of YouTube. I made a joke and it surprised me because he was like taken aback by it, which is weird because he normally isn't. And I said, I look at it because I grew up Catholic. I raised my kids Catholic, worked in Catholic schools for 20 years. So I think he doesn't really understand completely where I'm at now on my spiritual journey, totally. And he goes, well, hell is, because I said, I don't believe in hell. I don't think either of you do either. He said, well, hell is being distant from God. And I said, well, yeah, if you imagine, and Kathy will like this because I'm going to talk about galaxies. If you imagine what a galaxy looks like, in the center is a big ball of light. That's where most of the stars are concentrated. And on the very edges are these other stars, just very far away. I see the collective consciousness, or God, as that center where you are trying to get from that edge of that galaxy, grow your soul through each life to get closer to the center where God is, or the collective consciousness. So if you think hell is distance from God, well, you are one of those stars out on the very edge of the galaxy that hasn't grown your soul. So you have to continue reincarnating until you get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to source and merge with source. So that's what I say. Goldmund wants to know point of view of Akashic records, and I think maybe
Wait, I gotta go back. Can we go back? I'm going to give my thoughts on this. I'm the one that does this. All right, let's.
Sorry.
So what you're saying is the stars out here are not as evolved as the ones in here.
In this analogy.
I know. But what if all the stars are part and created by the creator, right?
Yeah.
We were the thought. Why wouldn't we have access to all that knowledge as it is? Because we are part of that creator, that central.
We have access to the knowledge. It's like, does your teenager listen when you say don't drink and drive?
Right.
You gave them the knowledge.
So going back to my original question that I posed to the two of you is that, and to the people in the chat, is when I do this work and what Spirit has shown me, when I have, like, my higher self, when I've done trance channeling and I've done the QHHT regression, is they've said over and over again, it's all happening at once. And sometimes a life in another frequency can affect you now, kind of inadvertently, because we are all tied to one, all plugged into one source. So sometimes that can negatively or positively affect us, depending on if something over here happened and we just didn't let it go. Right. Which is why we even bother doing QHHT for a lot of times. Is like we have someone who's got an irrational fear or a chronic, something going on that has no explanation whatsoever. Where did it come from? Why is it happening? A lot of times it'll go into another lifetime, and that somehow is connecting here. And then that's when you ask the higher self, yeah, is that necessary? Can we cut that? Do we need to have that going on in our life?
Right.
Sometimes something positive will be coming in from another lifetime that they'll be like, hey, you should actually tap into that. You should tap into that exciting energy over there because you need to get your act together. You need to follow that lead and tie that energetically in. So that's where I think past life regression or I call it multidimensional work now, because I don't even think of it as past life. Multidimensional work and quantum healing comes in. It's recognizing where these past lives are happening. And if you're going to get a past life reading, hold the person's feet to the fire. Make sure they're not just being like, well, you were a horse in a past life and had a dog, and okay, $90, please. It's got to be, I see that you lived in Scotland, had a horse that you were attached to. Your best friend had this happen, and then you fell off a cliff, and your horse, whatever the past life is, but now you have a fear of heights and losing someone close to you because of this. Right. Is that necessary in this lifetime now with this person that maybe you shared this past life with? Should you be scared now, or should you be through that now? Let's cut that energy. So that's where past life work and healing can come in handy, because I believe that those other existences, because we're all part of a collective, like it all comes in from other places, Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I want to ask you, because somebody asked about the Akashic records.
Yes.
What's the difference between like QHHT, past lives, and Akashic records? Like, are those all different? Are those the same?
I see the Akashic records as like in my classes, in my meditation, we've gone into the Akashic records.
I've got two right here about the Akashic records.
Yeah, I love that. And I think we can go in specifically with this existence in mind. When we go into the Akashic records, we can ask up to see the other lifetimes. It's just a matter of how we connect. Ultimately, it no matter where we get the source, the information's there.
Right. It's just different labels.
Correct.
Different labels. Correct. Humans like labels. Kathy, do you have any specials or anything coming up?
Well, can I just ask really quick? Because we have Lorenda here, and this is an awesome opportunity to ask this. When we're talking about past lives, have you found, when you're doing these regressions, do you find that if somebody has a scar or like you said, you brought up a fear, is that from a past life? A birthmark, a scar, a fear, is that part of a past life?
I believe they are. And I'm going to use my own family as an example. We've got the weirdest dynamic in my family with my husband and 2 of our 3 kids. And like, we all have these weird, like my son was born, by the time he was 2, he was obsessed with weaponry. We don't have weapons in our house. We don't. My husband and I are like, well, you can take the house. Do you need us to move out? Like, we're useless in a robbery. We're just useless. But my son, from a very early age. And I'd say, why do you need all that? And be like, I have to protect you and dad. I have to protect the family. I have to protect. Before they were born, like I learned at a very early on when my husband and I were together, I couldn't just go in and get into bed quietly because he would sit up and startle and he would scream like a woman at the top of his, like the kids were terrified to come in and tell us they had nightmares because he'd scream like a girl. Like it was like terrifying and weird, and to the point where we're like, oh, stop it, lay down. Like it's fake, but he never remembers.
Oh.
My daughter actually has on her chest, it looks like she's been shot. I have a birthmark that has faded that looks like I've been shot. And I have tried to tap into the past life, and all my higher self said at that time, because I was in full regression and someone else was facilitating it. So it wasn't, I made sure my conscious mind was way back, was she's not ready to see that. It's not necessary. Just know that it happened. So my consciousness will not, or my higher self will not let me experience or see what happened. But my son, I'm not sure what happened with him, but he felt like he had to protect us. Remember, we were talking about kids remember, right? He was convinced that we were going to get robbed when he was tiny and had no experience. He watched like little kid show, like there was no reason for
Blue's Clues.
Right, Blue's Clues. Right. So yes, I do believe that we carry scars in the form of birthmarks, in physical ways, and also because I've done, again, with the past life regression, there are people that come in with chronic problems, like a problem with their knee they've always had, but people just think they're crazy, like they have no idea why. That can cross over from past lives.
Like people with irrational fears of spiders or heights or
fire.
Yeah, my husband has told me many times if I had a past life, which we obviously know he did, I was a warrior. He's like, knows he was a warrior of some kind, but he has this huge birthmark across his hip. It's giant. It's light colored, but it's very clear. And I'm like, I wonder if he got like his legs cut off or got cut in half, like in a past life, because it's like all the way across his hip and it's a huge birthmark. So I just, to add to the birthmark story.
I mean, think about it. It's an energetic imprint, just like a lot of times if a house is haunted, sometimes it's a loop, it's an energetic imprint. It's not an actual person.
Here. Right.
Energetic imprint. Somebody said, can we lose that phobia or fear, Lorenda, given we really don't need that experience in this life? Yes. And I'll be glad to tell you how to get rid of that here in a moment.
Go for it.
Yes. Because I know you asked Kathy first if she has any specials going on. I actually do. For the month of July, I actually am offering, each month I do like a lower, more approachable ticket item of one of my services. And so right now I'm doing a multidimensional channeled healing. I basically, all I have is your name, and I plug in higher self, connects to your higher self. They show me a past life. I'm recording it on Zoom. They show me a past life. My voice is saying it. I'm telling you everything that's happening. The higher self will say, this is needed. This is not needed. This is how it's affecting your life now. Again, I'm going in blind. Lorenda Carr doesn't know anything. And then they will do that healing work if it's necessary, or they will tap into another existence and pull in something that you might need as an experience from another one of your lifetimes that would be helpful to achieving. Ultimately, it has to be what's going to achieve the goal that you came into this existence to do. It can't just be willy-nilly, whatever. It's got to be, how is it affecting, and is it for your greatest and highest and good to serve the purpose of this lifetime right now? And then so you can do that, and that's only $50.
That's really good.
Wow.
And because a full multidimensional healing session is $200, but I do that. You get to ask me questions prior. I do the thing, and then we follow up a few weeks later. Oh, my dog. She's saying, yeah, I get it. But then I also do the QHHT or BQH, which QHHT is done in person. BQH can be done online. That is about a 4-hour appointment. That is me finding out exactly what's going on in your life. We do the 2-hour regression. It's all like, that's all encompassing. How are you doing it?
Love
Website, lorendacarr.com.
lorendacarr.com, just like her name is spelled there on the
Yeah.
screen. And it's in my show notes too, Lucille. Kathy, how about you? What do you have going on?
Well, so unfortunately, I'm totally booked for July, and I'm taking off August because we're traveling back to our boat, and then we're going to be doing some traveling in August. So I won't be booking anything until September. If I, by chance, open up my schedule, I'll let everybody know. So just watch my socials. But I do have a Helping Parents Heal gallery on July 21st.
Awesome. Wonderful. I'm also going to do, Mangold. Thank you. She put your
Thank you.
thing in the chat, your website. I will be doing Helping Parents Heal July 16th. You have to go, I guess, to their Facebook page to sign up for that the day of or the day before. And I have my 50% off coupon. It expires tomorrow. July is full. August is probably close to full by now. I still have some spiritual guidance readings open, but mediumship, those fill up really fast. So get them now before they're gone. So.
But we'll be back on Friday, right?
We'll be back on Friday. The 24th, I think, is a Friday. I have company coming in. And then the next Friday also will have company. So I'll be gone those 2 weeks. But we'll let you know. Lorenda, it's been a pleasure.
Amazing.
It's always, I love hanging out with you guys.
I hope we can do this again. We'll have to get Carrie on. Don't forget, I'll be live with Miss Molly on Wednesday.
It's amazing.
It's going to be
Love her. I've
fabulous.
met her in person. She's amazing.
She's the best. And Kathy, good luck on your travels.
Yes, and Miss Molly lives on a catamaran too.
Yep. And she is the best. And I love her, and I love you guys. And thank you so very much. And we will see you next Friday. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.